It was around 1:45 a.m. on a rainy Thursday when I ordered an Uber to head home after a late shift. I work in downtown Austin, and that night had been particularly long. The buses had already stopped running, and walking home in the rain wasn't exactly an option. So, like always, I pulled out my phone and booked the ride. The driver's name was Ray, and his profile photo showed a middle-aged man with a thick mustache and a calm expression. The ETA was just 7 minutes. As I stood under the awning of the coffee shop, I watched the little car icon crawl through the digital map on my screen. But then something strange happened. About a minute before Ray was supposed to arrive, I got a message in the app. "Running late, stay where you are." That wasn't too unusual, but what struck me was the tone. It didn't feel automated, or like something a driver would send. It felt abrupt, almost like a command. I hesitated but shrugged it off. A few seconds later, I got a call from an unknown number. When I answered, there was silence for a beat, and then a man's voice, raspy, almost as if he had something caught in his throat, said, "Don't get in the car." Then the call dropped. My heart skipped. I looked around the street. Empty. Rain slicked the pavement and reflected the dim streetlights, giving everything a warped, dreamlike appearance. For a second, I thought maybe a friend was messing with me, but the number was blocked and the voice didn't sound familiar at all. I opened the app. Ray was just 1 block away. Now I was on edge. I clicked into his profile again. Something was off. The photo was the same, but suddenly his rating was gone. It had been 5 stars before, and now it just showed a blank space. No reviews, nothing. And then his car pulled up. A black Toyota Corolla rolled slowly up to the curb. No Uber sticker on the window. The windows were heavily tinted and I couldn't see inside. The car just sat there, idling. The driver didn't roll the window down, didn't wave, didn't do anything. I stood there paralyzed. Then I got a new notification. "Your ride has arrived." And another one immediately after. "Get in." No joke. The second one wasn't the usual notification. It was like a message. Just, "Get in." That was it. Something cold spread through my chest. I took a cautious step toward the car, still unsure. Maybe I was overthinking. But just before I reached the back door, I got a third message. This time, it wasn't from the app. It was a text. From that same unknown number that had called me. Earlier, "That's not Ray." I backed away. The car door suddenly cracked open, just slightly. Enough to see the glint of something metallic, maybe a ring on a finger or worse, something held in the driver's hand. I didn't wait to find out. I immediately canceled the ride, turned around, and walked as quickly as I could back toward the diner at the corner, where I knew there'd be people. I watched from behind the diner's glass as the car lingered for another minute, then slowly rolled away. No other pickups, no lights, just gone. The next day, I tried reporting the incident to Uber, but nothing showed in my ride history. No driver named Ray, no trip from that night. It was as if the whole thing never existed. That's when I realized something was wrong with the app itself. I took a closer look at the icon. It looked like the Uber app, but it wasn't. A few pixels off in the logo, slightly different menu animations. I went to the official app store and searched for Uber, and sure enough, the real one looked cleaner, newer. Somehow I had downloaded a clone, a pirated version of the Uber app, probably from a sketchy third-party site a few weeks back when my phone had been acting up. It mimicked everything, the interface, the booking process, even the GPS. But it wasn't connected to Uber at all, which means whoever I contacted that night and whoever tried to pick me up, they weren't drivers. I deleted the app instantly, reset my phone, and changed every password I had. But that sick feeling hasn't left me, because it means that someone built that fake app to look real, just to get people like me into the wrong car, and it almost worked. I started driving for rideshare apps during the night shift. Less traffic, fewer distractions, just me, the road, and the occasional drunk passenger trying to make it home. Nothing ever seemed out of the ordinary until last September. It was a Friday night, almost 2:30 a.m., and I was about to finish my shift. I'd parked near the edge of town, waiting to catch one last ride before heading home. Then, a request popped up. Pickup from an address in an older, rundown neighborhood I didn't recognize. The location was labeled Bellevue Street, Entrance 2. Odd. I didn't know Bellevue had multiple entrances. Still, I accepted it. When I arrived, I was greeted by a dead-end street with no houses. Just an overgrown field, a crumbling sidewalk, and one flickering street lamp. I double-checked the address. It was right. I turned on my hazard lights and waited. After a few minutes, someone emerged from the shadows between two trees. She was barefoot, wearing a white hoodie and jeans, and moved slowly, almost like she was in a daze. Her hair hung in front of her face, and she never looked directly at me. She just opened the back door and slid into the seat without a word. I turned down the music and asked, "Hey, you okay?" She nodded, just once. Then, in a soft, barely audible voice, said, "Just drive." Something about her gave me goosebumps. I glanced at the rearview mirror. Her head was down, no purse, no phone in her hands. She didn't even buckle the seatbelt. "Where are we going?" I asked, because oddly, the app hadn't provided a destination. "Just the pickup," she whispered. "Home." That was it. My gut told me to cancel the ride and call it a night. But something in her voice felt helpless. Maybe she was running from something or someone. So I started driving, slow at first, hoping she'd clarify where she lived. I named a few neighborhoods. Nothing. Then I asked, "Is there a street name or a landmark?" She just whispered, "You'll see it." We drove in silence for almost 10 minutes. I was heading north out of the city limits, into more rural backroads. The kind where houses are miles apart and there's barely any lighting. My phone started acting weird. The GPS froze, the map went gray, then the app crashed altogether. Now I was just guessing where to go, and the whole time, the girl hadn't moved an inch. She didn't even blink when I asked if she wanted me to turn around. Then she said something that chilled me. "You've been here before?" I stared at her through the rearview mirror. "What?" "This road," she whispered. "You took someone else here, didn't you?" I hadn't. At least, I didn't think I had. But her words triggered something. A weird, distant memory. I remembered a canceled ride from months ago that led me down a similar road. I'd gotten lost, had no signal, and ended up turning around after nearly 30 minutes. Still, I laughed nervously. "You must be confusing me with another driver." She slowly looked up at me. Her eyes were glassy, hollow. She smiled just barely and said, "I never forget faces." My skin went cold. I hit the brakes and told her I couldn't go further unless she gave me an address. She didn't answer. She just vanished. I swear to God, 1 second she was in the seat, the next, nothing. No door opened, no weight shifting. Just empty. I pulled over, jumped out, and checked the back seat. No one, not a trace. The door was still locked, and here's the part I can't explain. The seat was dry, completely dry, even though it had just rained and her clothes had been soaked when she got in. I drove back to the city in a complete daze. Didn't pick up another rider for weeks, but it didn't end there. A month later, I met another driver at a car wash. We got to talking, and I told him the story, just to see if I sounded insane. As soon as I mentioned Bellevue Street, he went pale. He told me he'd picked up a girl there once. Same white hoodie, barefoot, never spoke, disappeared, mid-ride. She always orders a ride around 2:30 a.m., always from the same dead-end street, never gives a destination, and every time, the app malfunctions. He called her the passenger. I tried checking my app history that night, but the ride didn't exist. No logs, no route, not even the fare. All that remained was her voice in my head and the words that still haunt me. "You've been here before." I've been driving for rideshare apps for a few years now. Nights mostly. It's quiet, less traffic, and you meet some interesting people, but nothing, and I mean nothing, ever shook me like what happened one Thursday night around 2:30 in the morning. I picked up a ride near a gas station on the outskirts of town. The guy was already waiting under the flickering lights, wearing a baseball cap pulled low and sunglasses, even at night. I thought it was strange, but some people are just weird. He got in, didn't say a word, just nodded and typed something into his phone. The destination was across town, near an abandoned industrial area. I assumed he lived nearby. Some drivers don't like taking people out that far, but I didn't mind. It was quiet. Too quiet. We drove for a good 15 minutes in silence. I tried making small talk just to break the tension. Asked him if he worked out there, or if he was heading home. Still nothing. Then, about 10 minutes from the destination, he spoke, softly, almost too soft to hear. "You've done this route before, haven't you?" I glanced at him in the mirror, caught only the shadow of his face under the cap. Yeah, a few times." "Why?" He just chuckled, dry, humorless. "You ever notice the cameras disappear along this stretch?" I blinked. I had no idea what he meant. "Cameras?" He nodded slowly. "No traffic cams, no surveillance. Dead zone for about 5 miles. I hadn't paid attention before, but thinking back, he was right. No highway patrol, no red light cameras. I thought it was coincidence, until he added, they built it that way. The rest of the ride, I didn't say a word. My stomach started tightening, some primal part of me screaming that something was wrong. I just wanted to drop him off and be done. When we got there, some kind of old warehouse, he told me to wait. I laughed nervously. "Wait, you're not planning on coming back, right?" He leaned forward slowly, close to my ear, and whispered, "If I don't come out in 10 minutes, drive away. Don't look back, no matter what." Then he was gone. 10 minutes passed, then 12, then 15. I gripped the steering wheel so tight, my knuckles went white. Something inside me said, "Go." So I did. But I did look back. The warehouse was lit now, dim orange lights glowing from inside like a furnace had been ignited, and standing in the doorway was not the man, but something else. Tall, thin, its head too large, limbs too long. Watching me, I drove like hell. That night I deleted my app, threw my phone out the window and never drove again. But the next morning, I woke up to a new phone on my kitchen table. It had only one contact saved, and a message that simply read, "You looked back."